Today I'll be reviewing the Yobo FC Twin console, which is a dual SNES/NES console clone. The console comes ready to play out of the box, with 2 controllers and all the cables, and the system is really easy to set up. It comes with a diagram on the back of the box, so really anyone can set it up. The console has a very small and slick design, very reminiscent to the SNES newer versions, as well as the NES top loader. The console comes in 3 colors, a charcoal, silver, and pearl white. The FC Twin is also smaller in both size and weight compared to the SNES, especially the older NES, the toaster one. The power switch located on the front of the console comes with 3 settings: an off position, 16-bit position, which is for SNES games, and an 8-bit for NES games. It also comes with a reset button located above it. The power adapter is also a lot smaller compared to the original ones. Instead of having specialized audio-video cords like the SNES had, it uses normal audio-video cords like the NES did, with the left and right audio channel and the video, which makes it a lot easier to play on newer TV sets. The controller ports used are actually the same ones used for the SNES, which makes them swappable with original SNES controllers, which is a nice touch if you still have your old ones. However, this means you can't use any of your NES controllers, like the Zapper or the Pad, but you can buy a Zapper expansion, and I believe it's only compatible with NES games. For the controls, they went with the SNES style, the dog bone style, if you will, and they feel really light compared to the original ones. The original SNES controllers, they felt very durable and had some weight to them. But these ones, they definitely don't feel sturdy. So all the buttons are the same as the NES, and when you're playing NES games, the X and Y button actually act as the turbo buttons, which is actually pretty nice. The main problem I have with the controller is by far the D-pad. It feels very stiff, and it just doesn't feel as responsive as like the original ones. The D-pad definitely needs to be broken in first, but like I said earlier in the review, you can swap it out for an original SNES controller. Out of all 3, it does have the shortest cord, so that could be a problem depending on what your seating arrangement is. And of course, the main draw to the system is being able to have 2 games in at once, and you can just switch off between them. It does not come with an upgraded 72-pin, though it's not as much as a problem as the original because of its top-loading feature. But holy crap, the NES slot is a bitch to get out, and I am not joking. You have to kind of rock it back and forth, which is very frustrating and odd because you don't want to break the thing. You really kind of do have to apply some pressure to get it out. Luckily, the SNES one does not have this problem. It goes in and out pretty easy. Now, sadly, the FC Twin is not compatible with every game, especially on the NES. Just some key titles that it's not compatible with are Battletoads, Castlevania 3, DuckTales, and some key titles for the SNES that are not compatible are Street Fighter Alpha 2, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario RPG, Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3. And the console is still region locked, unlike the top-loading NES version that had it removed. Now for the actual game emulation, something I noticed was that the gameplay does slow down quite a bit when there are a lot of sprites on the screen, though if I recall there was a similar issue on the NES. As for the SNES gameplay, I found it ran very smooth, just like the original, with no chunkiness in the frame rate. Another thing I noticed was that some of the sounds are off from the original, however, I bet most people wouldn't notice. Okay, so in review, for pros, it saves space by not having 2 other consoles, and it's fairly light. Granted, you can find SNES and NES consoles at yard sales or Craigslist for a cheap price. Often their functionality can be questionable, compared to the FC Twin, brand new at $42, while tested SNES and NESs with the 72-pin upgrade can rack up pretty quickly, so you're likely to save some money with the FC Twin. It is convenient to not have to unplug and hook up consoles if you want to go from an SNES to an NES. Okay, and cons, not all games are compatible. So the D-pad on the controller could definitely be better. It just feels stiff and it needs to be broken in. The light gun costs extra if you want to play Duck Hunt. The audio and video emulation is a bit off from the original, and the NES slot is a bitch to get out. Okay, so if you're looking for something to save you space and some money, and really if you're not that a hardcore retro gamer, just minded to play like the Zelda, Mario, Donkey Kong, then you'd probably do pretty fine with the FC Twin. I'd give it a thumbs up.